This is our Sunday lesson, and yes, I am getting rained on. And this is my pretend boat, because I really don't have one. Our lesson today comes from Acts chapter 27. And you know, Paul had some great adventures, and this was one of them. So he was a prisoner. You know, he didn't get on a cruise ship, and it wasn't so beautiful for him. They couldn't take a camel, and they couldn't walk because Rome was very far away from where he was. So they had to take a ship. They had to take a boat. Not only one boat, but several boats. So they got on a boat, and they would land. They would dock somewhere, and then he would get on another boat, and they would dock somewhere, and all the whole time, Paul was wearing chains, just like this. He was wearing chains. He wasn't on a very nice part of the boat. He had to sit on the bottom. And on the bottom sometimes, and I know this is not an oar, but sometimes the people on the bottom had to row. And that's where Paul had to go sit in the dark and where there was no sunlight, and it wasn't pretty. So he was in shackles, in chains, on the bottom of the boat. He was a prisoner. He took two friends with him, and I kind of feel sorry for those friends because, you know, what friends would go on the bottom of the boat with you where it was stinky and yucky and you couldn't go out and have some fresh air? Well, there was a Roman centurion. That means he was a soldier guarding all the prisoners because Paul wasn't the only prisoner on the boat. This centurion, this soldier's name was Julius. Can you say that? Julius. And he was kind. He saw that Paul was a nice man. And so again, they were on a ship and they had lots of stops. And one time they went into a place called Fairhaven, and Paul said, "We need to wait." And everybody said, "Well, who do you think you are? You're just a prisoner." It says here, they went into Fairhavens, and he said, "Men," he told the guys, he said, "Hey, we're gonna have a hard time because it's storm time." And the centurion captain, Julius, was persuaded by the owner of the ship that they had to go. So they set sail, and they needed to reach Phoenix, but it was kind of far away. And there was a big storm, a huge storm, and their ship tossed and turned. And remember, he was on the bottom, and was tied up with these chains, and they tossed and turned, and they said, "Oh no, we have water in our boat." And so they were like, "Let's take the water and splash it out. Come on, everybody, splash out the water." Because if they took on too much water in their boat, they would sink. So they said, "Hey, everybody, splash the water out, splash the water out." Well, they had to throw packages out too. So Paul, during this whole time, said, "God is with us. God is with us. I believe God is with us. Everybody just needs to have some hope. Hope." And they said, "I don't know about that because we're in the middle of a storm and it looks like we're going to all sink." And they said, "Okay, let's bail some more water out. Come on, everybody has to help. Let's throw some water out." And they even threw out all of they ate some food. They said, "Hurry up and stuff your tummies, and then we have to throw out all of the stuff that we have. Let's throw it out. And let's more stuff. Let's throw it out. And more stuff, and more stuff." And they said, "Let's throw it out so that the boat would be lighter." So Paul prayed, and he told everybody, "We're all going to be okay." But it was a very bad night, and the storm was pushing the boat this way and that way. There were 276 people on that boat. Well, it was a very bad night. They had to bail water all night. They had thrown out all of their stuff that they didn't need. And pretty soon, their boat was breaking apart. And then it came time, the boat, you couldn't take out any more water, and the boat was falling apart. And some people said, I see land, there's sunshine, there's a little bit of sun coming out, and I see land, but the boat was falling apart. And so some people said, jump, and they jumped into the water, and they splashed into the water, and they tried to swim. Well, Mrs. Pablo's not a very good swimmer. So some people said, well, I'm going to take a piece of wood, and I'm going to hold on to it, and I'm hoping that I won't die in the water. Well, you know what happened? Some people swam, and some people used boats, and nobody died. That's what it says in Acts chapter 27. Maybe later on you can look at that, and maybe your mom or somebody could open your Bible and you could look at Acts chapter 27. And it says, Paul said to them, do not be afraid, we're going to be okay. Do not be afraid. God said that if we just stay together, we're going to be okay. Well, guess what? When they all gathered together on the beach, of 276 people, 0 died. God was right. And they said, wow, Paul, good job, good job, good job. And everybody was thankful. Even the dogs that came along, they didn't get thrown over. I wouldn't throw Cedric over. He's my dog. Now, you can't even read my questions right now because of all the rain. But it says, number 1, how did Paul encourage the others? How did Paul encourage the others? Remember, he prayed and then he said some nice things, didn't he? Right? So how did Paul encourage the other people on the boat? All right, here's one that you can answer, and I know you have the answer to this. How many people were on the boat, and how many people died? Okay, let's try that again. How many people were on the boat, and how many people died? Now, you won't be able to tell what Mrs. Pablo's next bit is because it's all wet. But I'm going to tell you 2 things that you need to practice. All right? Are you ready? Repeat after me. You can do this. One more time. Really loud. Say it really loud. You can do this. Sometimes I feel like I can't do it. If Mr. Pablo said, let's go jogging, and it looks like a faraway place, and he says, you can do this. Or if you're trying to put your own shoes on, or you're trying to do a math problem, or you're trying to do something very difficult, then somebody needs to come alongside you and say, you can do this. And some people are just sad because they think they can't do it, and they think they're all alone. So we need to say one more thing to them. Repeat after me. God is with you. You ready to say it again? God is with you. God is with you. Right, so you have to say that to other people when they need encouragement. If somebody says, I can't do this, what are you going to say? You can do this. And if somebody says, I'm all alone, you can say, God is with you. All right, practice, okay? Practice saying those things. This is our last Sunday to say our May memory verse from Hebrews chapter 10, verses 24 and 25. I hope you remember it. Let's do it once, okay? Let us think about each other and help each other to show love and do good deeds. You should not stay away from the church meetings as some are doing, but you should meet together and encourage. Remember, we should meet together. You should meet together and encourage each other, and do this even more as you see the day coming. Let's try that one more time since this is our last Sunday, okay? Ready? Hebrews 10, 24 and 25. Let us think about each other and help each other to show love and do good deeds. You should not stay away from the church meetings as some are doing, but you should meet together and encourage each other. Do this even more as you see the day coming. Do you remember how we're supposed to encourage one another? Remember, that's what it says in our verse. You can do this, and God is with you. All right, we need to practice that this week, and I need to get out of the rain because I'm all wet now. And I'm sure that my friend Cedric needs to get out of the rain too. So Cedric and I will say goodbye, and we'll see you next week, and we'll have a new verse for June and some new stories, okay? All right.